I secretly fattened up my bridesmaids before my wedding. A conspiracy? I'll fit it in there some way if I have to. This woman, she's getting married, and she has these beautiful sisters. And she is going to get married, and her sisters are going to be her bridesmaids. But she started to think, she goes, my sisters have always been, we've always been really competitive. My sisters are very, very pretty. I want to have the perfect wedding, and I want to have the perfect wedding photos. So what she started doing was, first off, so they're all three girls. It's her, she's the middle child. They're all blonde, they all have fair skin. And she picked for bridesmaids dresses neon yellow. So it made them look super washed out and gross and like ill. It made them look, their skin have a weird sheen to it. And then she started making breakfast, I can't say the word, damn it. She started making, I didn't know this word was in the article. She started making them breakfast smoothies. And she bought a container of weight loss shake and emptied it out, and then added in a mega weight gain protein powder into it. And she was making them, and she's like, oh, these smoothies are just a good way to start the day, and we're gonna do this. And so her sisters started getting chubby, and they couldn't figure it out. And her smoothie was just fruit and coconut water. So the end result was the two sisters had to have their dresses put on enough weight. Their dresses had to be altered. And she's like, I had a great time. The photos came out great. And both my sisters lost the weight relatively quickly because they stopped drinking the smoothies. Once the wedding was over, but they've been like, oh man, those smoothies were so good. What's your recipe? Like since then. And so I thought it was a fun story. It technically is a conspiracy where she, and that is the definition of a conspiracy. She has this secret plan to enact against other people. And I read the article and I'm like, this is vaguely, I find this vaguely erotic. And I don't know if it's erotic because I like diabolical women. Not like diabolical women like I'm gonna murder you for your drug money, but just kind of like slightly manipulative. Slightly kind of like, I pulled one over on him. Like that. To a slight degree. I don't want to attract a bunch of psychos into my life. I don't know if that's the attractive part or the idea of these thin women slowly getting plump. And their dresses getting tighter. I don't know. I don't have like a weight gain fetish. But this whole article, I was like, maybe I'll, this is vaguely, this is quite erotic. So I wanted to include it in the show. So I had an excuse to read it again. And technically, it is a conspiracy. DeadRabbitRadio@gmail.com is going to be your email address. You can also hit us up at Facebook.com/DeadRabbitRadio. Please don't send me inflation porn. Please, I've seen it. That's not my thing. I like tight dresses. I like dresses that are too tight. Actually, I have a thing for that, but where was I going? Twitter is at Jason O. Carpenter. Dead Rabbit Radio is the daily paranormal, conspiracy, and true crime podcast. You don't have to listen to it every day, but I'm glad you listened to it today. Have a great one, guys. That was a good episode. You should send me stuff and then join my cult. It's called Dead Rabbit Radio. And I have a treasure that is hidden. And it is, I will write a poem and it will tell you where the treasure is at, but you'll just have to believe me that there is really a treasure because I am an honorable person. So you will have to take my word for it. Thank you for listening. And insert hypnotic noises here that I cannot make because I'm not a hypnotist. Have a great day. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Dead Rabbit Radio Classics, where we listen to an old episode with a little new intro, a little bit of insight. The last week of Season 9, I kept saying, we're going to do a theme week. I'm going to repeat one of my whole theme weeks for the Classics episodes. And when I went to listen to the theme week, 2 of the episodes weren't up to snuff. One had nothing to do with the theme. It was just in there, because I couldn't find enough content for the theme. And the other one, I just talked about Phantom of the Opera for 20 minutes, so that didn't... As much as I love Phantom of the Opera, I would not make you guys listen to that episode again. The theme of the next 3 episodes, though, are actually really good from that theme week, and the theme week was Too Good to Be True. They're stories that you've heard before, movies that you've seen. They're actually based on true stories, surprisingly true stories. Now, this episode is interesting because the first story is the theme. Too Good to Be True. And when I formatted the episode, I go, oh, here's a cool little story. And I'm not going to tell you what it's based on because I think it's best to go into the episode not knowing what it's based on. But the first story is this kind of fun story based on true story. The second story gave me nightmares. The Michael Taylor story, I remember, if you think about all of the stuff I've covered on this show, I think this episode was in the 200s. Let me take a look at that real quick. Yeah, this was episode 217. So all the stuff I recorded 216 episodes before this, all the research I did of stories that I didn't cover, all of this stuff, this episode gave me nightmares. The Michael Taylor story gave me nightmares. Made me on edge for a day or two, honestly. So, and I think I actually mentioned that in the next episode. I think or the episode after that. It may not, it may be on one of the episodes I cut off for the theme week, but I was disturbed by this story. It's really good. Again, it's a story that I had never, ever heard of before. I think I just stumbled across it on like a Ranker list or maybe Reddit or something like that. I'd never heard of this true crime story before. True crime, this is the story, these are the type of stories that I was thinking about when I started the podcast. Truly the intersection of paranormal, conspiracy, and true crime. I mean, this story has it all, and it's shocking that considering how much of this I consume, that I didn't discover this until I was 42. There's a lot of stories I talk about, and I'm like, oh, I was researching that when I was 12. Oh, Illuminati, I was playing the card game. I remember buying the card game at when I lived in Alameda. I'm fully aware of the history of the Illuminati, the Illuminatus trilogy with Robert Wilson. I knew all that stuff, even when I was 11, 12 years old. And then so I've been studying it all this time, so when I come across a story as insane as Michael Taylor's story, if you guys haven't heard this episode yet, you newcomers, you whippersnappers haven't heard this episode yet, you think I'm building it up, this episode's terrifying. It's violent, it's scary, and it's true. So shut off all the lights in your house. Make your feet stick out from underneath the blanket so your feet are exposed to the darkness. And prepare to listen to episode 217. It's the blood of Satan. It's the blood of Satan. We kick off Totally True Week with a story that you didn't think was based on a true story, but is. And then we take a look at a story which I have a hard time believing is true because I've never heard of it. The details are stunning, the crime is chilling, and you'll find out more today on Dead Rabbit Radio. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Dead Rabbit Radio. I'm your host, Jason Carpenter. I'm having a great day. I hope you guys are having a great day too. Hope you had a great weekend. This is the start of, I don't remember what I called it. I think it was like True Story Week or Too Good to Be True. I don't remember. Anyways, Too Good to Be True actually sounds like a good name. We'll stick with that and see if I remember. 5 segments on stuff that people don't know is true, but is actually based on a true story. And I found them, and I was like, oh my god, I found a couple at least, and I was like, oh my god, this is like, I didn't know this stuff. One of them I knew was based on a true story, but the rest of them I had no idea. So, I went, and I could only find 4. Of course, there's like hundreds of things that are based on a true story, but I was like, I want stuff that people wouldn't assume was based on a true story. So, I mean, like, I could have done Titanic, or A Few Good Men, or whatever. Like, everyone knows Titanic's based on a true story, but you know, like, I could have done all this stuff, but I was like, come on, like, was Fight Club based on a true story? Like, supposedly Child's Play was based on a true story, but is really some stupid doll that never really moved. Or, like, slightly moved its head on windy days. Like, that was its superpower. I'm like, oh, that's stupid. Yeah, the writers of Chucky may have been inspired by Robert the Doll, but come on, it's not based on a true story. But I found some interesting ones. Now, this first one, you may go, but I'll admit, it's the least interesting of the 4. I won't have one on Wednesday because I can find 5 of them. It's the least interesting of the 4, but it's still very, very interesting on its own. Very, very interesting on its own. So, take a sip of a little Diet A&W root beer. The year is 1994. I graduated from high school, but I'm not in this story. The story actually takes place in Hawaii. But you know, I mean, you had grunge music was still rocking hard. The Chronic had just come out, I think about a year earlier, maybe 2 years earlier. And in this amazing, exciting time where nothing could ever go wrong, the 90s were great. I don't think they're necessarily better than now. I think I enjoyed, like, the clothes and the year is 1994. An amazing time to live in. They haven't made any Matrix sequels yet, so you're like excited for what could happen. They haven't even made The Matrix yet, but that doesn't matter. Because movies were really kind of just exploding. You had Pulp Fiction really come out. I remember Pulp Fiction came out when I was in high school. I think it was in 93, 94. Because my brother made me, he didn't make me, but he had me skip school, and then he drove me to go see Pulp Fiction at the local theater, and I was blown away. I had never seen anything like it. It really was a phenomenal movie. And it's funny because it basically created an entire new industry of like these independent type